Welcome back to the shop. I'm Jason, and that's not a BMW. I'm not working on a BMW today. I'm not working on a Kia today. The Kia is almost done and ready to sell. What I'm doing is I'm working on a friend's car who said, hey, Jason, I've got an oil leak. And it's a pretty bad oil leak coming off of my transmission. Could you take a look at it? I was like, yeah, sure, bring it on over. So what do? We throw it up on the lift. Like she said, there was a ton of oil coming off the transmission. Problem is, the transmission doesn't have engine oil in it. And I don't think these 2016-ish, well, this is a 2016, but I don't think that these Jeeps leak from the transmission quite that often. Not engine oil, that is, which would be like a rear main or whatnot. So I actually had to do a little bit of digging on this one to figure out what the problem was. And thankfully, I had recently picked up this new tool, a little endoscope from Vevor, and I'll show you exactly what we're dealing with right now. So when we brought the Jeep in the shop, the first thing I did was throw it up in the air, and yep, she was right. There was a bunch of oil dripping off of the back of the transmission. The problem is that leads to a pretty drastic repair, like a rear main seal. But those aren't very common from what I've read on this engine. This is the Pentastar engine. So I thought, okay, what about valve covers? Nope, valve covers are dry. So I'm climbing all around. I get my borescope out. This guy's got the articulating head with the thumb wheel here. And I stick this guy down in there, and I see, well, yep, there's definitely a ton of oil going on down in there. That's probably not where you want a ton of oil fishing through. And I check the other side, and for sure, even more oil. So I tell my friend, hey, look, I think you've got leak here from the filter housing, the cooler, whatever it is that's right here. Let's take a look online, see what everybody else is dealing with. So of course I went to my go-to, Google. I type in 2016 Jeep oil filter leak, and the first thing that comes up is the oil filter housing may be the source. Okay, so I do a little bit more research, and it turns out the oil filter housing, much like a bunch of BMWs I've worked on, use plastic and metal parts linked together. Probably not the best idea. The two expand and contract at different rates. Oftentimes the plastic housing will warp, causing a leak, even if the seals are in decent shape. So I said, hey, I think we're gonna have to do an oil filter housing. And she said, okay, well, let's get the parts and let's get it done. Cool, so let me show you what you got. We picked up the Mishimoto oil filter housing assembly. And the reason we picked this is, one, I trust Mishimoto as a performance part. Two, it's got an all aluminum construction that comes with the sensors, the seals, the bolts, the filter, everything that we need. I hope the filter's in there. I'm gonna pull the housing off, double check that before we send it. But everything that we need in order to get the job done. But of course, while we're in there, we're gonna go ahead and do an oil change. Once we have the upper and lower plenum off, we're gonna change the PCV valve. I'm gonna be changing the coils and the spark plugs. This Jeep has just over 100,000 miles. She has had a couple of instances of misfires with spark plugs and things like that. So I recommended we go ahead and do the coils. They're cheap insurance, especially since you have to pull the plenum to do 3 of them, and we'll make that happen. While I'm in there, I'm also gonna do a drain and fill on her power steering system because it's never been done, and top off the coolant since we do have to pull a cooling line off of the back of this guy. The problem is, as soon as I start pulling these manifolds apart, we're gonna get dirt everywhere. So our next step, I'm gonna pull it back out of the shop, and I'm gonna get it all cleaned up and blown out so that when I separate the manifold top and the bottom, I don't drop anything down inside the intake. You can see this looks like oil dripping down and splashing up. And this will be the cleanest this has probably been in a long time.
Correct.
What's interesting about working on somebody else's vehicle is little things like missing bolts where you really, why would you not put that one back? It holds the intake tube. If I had to guess, there's probably something missing over there. A couple of the lines on the manifold, I can see where it's been apart before and somebody cut the line instead of pulling it back properly. I'm not sure what else we'll find while we're in here, but let's start with the easy stuff. We're gonna need to get the intake tube off and start pulling all of the connectors and lines from the top. While this is off, I'm gonna go for these mounts to this bracket down on the bottom. And you've got one of my new favorite tools from Harbor Freight, this little silicone tray. Sure makes it easy to set stuff down and not lose it immediately. These little connectors, you've got this red pin here that slides in and out as a lock. You can use a pick to get onto it, and then you should be able to push in to release it. There's that little pin that needs to come up and down in there. Yeah, that one wasn't bad. Now all these lines. Wow. This could be something to add to your maintenance list. These lines are wicked, wicked stiff. I can't imagine they're gonna seal all that well with time. Ah! Wow! Watch where the pick goes. Yeah, nice straight hole in my finger. Well, I'm trying to get that back bracket out. It's not coming out, so of course I'm going to resort to the directions or the repair instructions, and it shows right here in the repair instructions that I need to take the nuts off and take the bolts off of the bottom, the stud bolts. I was trying to get the studs out of the top, but it looks like they're captured on the backside, so rather than damaging a plastic manifold, I guess we're gonna have to go ahead and pull the bottom studs out. And then on the other side, it looks like we've got 6 either bolts or nuts on the other bracket. They have the cooling lines removed. Actually, no, those are them right there, so that we can see where those are. The next picture is where they show them removed so that you can get this bracket out from underneath there. Now, if you're wondering where I'm getting the factory repair instructions from, let me show you. You go over to eManual online. You type in 2016 Jeep Wrangler, and then we're going to get a bunch of options here for PDF service manuals, the actual software files, diesel repair, everything that you could possibly want to get the torque specs, the part specs, the everything repair specs that you need to get this job done. So take a look at eManual online. Go over, drop it into the cart. Once you get into the cart, you can enter DFB22 and you will get 22% off your manual. This is an affiliate link. I appreciate you using it. Let me know how it works out for you. So far, I've used it on the Jeep, the Kia, the BMW, another BMW, a bunch of stuff that I've needed to have accurate and really important service information. One thing I failed to mention is you should probably disconnect your battery, both because you're disconnecting a bunch of electronics and the repair instructions say so. Man, this thing is sharp.
Your glove is just gone.
Yeah, look at what it just did to the top of my hand. Just like a friggin' razor blade, paper cut right through. Screw this. A little 220 grit sandpaper will take the edge right off. Much better. Now it's round. Thanks, Chrysler. Stellantis. Stupid. Well, I'd really like to get this bracket off over here to get it further out of the way. That way when I pull the lower manifold off, it's completely out of the way. The instructions show it out for clarity, but I'm not a Jeep tech. This is being a real pain in the butt. I do know that the cooler has coolant going to it, so I'm gonna have to top the coolant off anyhow. So what I'm planning to do is I'll just disconnect the lines over here on the bottom, drain into a pan, and tilt this whole thing up out of the way. Then the bracket should come right off. So I'm just gonna start at this lowest line here, pull this sucker off. There we go. Yay. Now don't throw it over here on the battery and then light your car on fire. Don't do that. Looks like we're ready to pull the top of the manifold or the upper plenum. We have 7 bolts. These are 8 mil. They only go to 89 inch-pounds, but man, do these feel loose. I think somebody tightened them down to snug and moved on. These bolts are captured, so they are not going to come out of the manifold once loose. But That bolt is loose there already. I wonder, no, the back one's not loose. All right, not so bad. You can get it from underneath. I'm not taking this off though. We're just loosening it. Because trying to put those bolts back in, that would suck. There we go. So you can see all this dirt and grime in here. This is precisely why we cleaned the engine bay last night. You can see we got some of it out, but not that much. So as we're coming apart, I'm gonna hit this with the vacuum and some compressed air to further make sure that we're not dropping anything down the runners. Then before we put the lower intake on, we're gonna check the runners and make sure nothing has fallen down in there. Let me reiterate, checking the runners is always a good idea. Granted, most of this is just sand and dirt and stuff. Still not great on your valves, but if you were to get a broken zip tie or any piece of plastic, you could totally get bound into that valve, bind it, and you would have a really, really bad afternoon. Thank you. I'd rather be safe than sorry, that's for darn sure. Clips. Disconnecting clips, yeah, so the teeth can grab there in the middle, since my fingers can't do it for some reason. Release and lift. Yeah, this is fantastic. I don't know why I didn't buy these sooner. On our fuel line here, you have to pull back this blue clip here, and then you can get to the bottom to get to the release. If you push in and release, it will make it easier. I'm gonna put a towel here because it is under pressure still, or should be under pressure still. Even the special papers breaking off of everything. These are all the little things that you could drop down inside the manifold. So before I go one final step and pull my bolts, I'm gonna blow all this out again. On the very back of the lower manifold, there is one harness clip that is gonna try to hide from you. Don't forget to get that one out. Now we can get the 8 bolts out of the manifold. Wow, for being a port injected car, pretty good. Those runners don't look great. Awesome. But the walls here, they're just, PCV system is definitely working overtime, which makes me feel pretty good about getting that PCV valve for this thing at 100,000 miles. Makes total sense. These are E8s. And there is a torque sequence when going together. I don't see a torque sequence in removing. So I'm just gonna go front to back. And from my understanding, the oil filter housing doesn't have a check valve to hold oil in there, so the oil should have already drained back down into the block. We are going to be doing an oil change while we're doing this, just to make sure we cover all of our preventative maintenance bases here. I hate these extra connectors with the little red things. There we go. So in an effort to leave this cleaner than I found it, I'm using my vacuum suction tool. You can use this for just about anything, including like doing one-man brake bleeder jobs. So we've got our new unit. We've got the valley cleaned out. The new unit comes with bolts because the old ones are captured. First thing we want to do is get our coolant line on. And then we're going to lower. There it is. Nope, that didn't go.
Now you gotta check out the seals again.
No, yeah, I can't not do that. I don't know if that clicked in or not, these stupid connectors. Man, I am not enjoying working on a Jeep.
The first and the
For all you diehard Jeepers out there, congrats. You can keep them. I will go back to BMWs. They also suck to work on, though.
Oh, stop your whining! Things aren't sharp, though.
I haven't run into this many sharp things, you're right.
Just the hood.
I think that is, well, that's true. I hit my head on a lot of hoods. 1, 2, 3, CL4 plus the O-ring. All right.
Put it.
They're all on there. So now I want to slide the front O-ring gently while watching it to make sure I don't see it rip or something. And our torque sequence is actually kind of unique. Not really, but in theory, I guess it's unique. It has you do a circular pattern around here, which I'll throw up on screen now.
106 inch-pounds is 11.97 newton meters. So you'd be right on.
I don't have anything in inch pounds or foot pounds. Everything is in newton meters. This is a deca newton meter. There is, in fact, a filter in here. Can you see the screw?
Yeah.
If you can get to it from there, I can help get you on it.
Yeah, if you can align me, I can't move far.
Okay. Okay. Try again.
Nope, not in.
You can't. Well, you gotta rotate.
Right there?
It feels in. You gotta. Can you twist it any further?
Right there.
There it is. That's all you need. Is you need 3 people.
Is it going anywhere?
Little. I heard a click. There's a click. There's a click.
Succession successful. Wait, mission successful.
Succession.
Exactly.
Mission successful. That's what I meant to say, alright? I never said the succession.
Sexful. Sexy, sexy full.
We're gonna have to do that again for putting it back on.
Yep.
Okay.
It doesn't look too bad. The Dorman one comes with these 8mm heads.
That's way better than Torx.
Should make it easier than the Torque. My arm is stuck. I can't.
I'm trying to move the line.
It's okay. I got it. Switch hands. Get a different direction on it.
Now the top is stuck on the line, but you got the bolt part path.
Mostly.
Looks like it's in.
Yeah. I'm gonna
You see it with the camera.
throw a wrench on there.
I think it's a ratchet.
Lord, I would be careful if it wasn't a ratchet.
For reals.
Is it even turning? What's happening?
I think it's turning.
Looks like it's rotating.
Yeah, I need to get the other one in.
Yeah, it looks like it's rotating.
Right there.
Yep, got it. The spark plugs on the passenger side. There's nothing special about those. As far as getting them off, trying to navigate around these PCV lines. That was something different. Trying to do the PCV valve, as you saw, we spent an hour and 6 minutes on those 2 bolts. I'm sure that there's an easier way that we just don't know. Set that up in order over there, please. But here we are. It's done. Oh. Oh. Oh dear.
Did the top of the thing just come off?
That wasn't very high
This
quality.
is an aftermarket coil with no branding on it.
Um,
I'm guessing Amazon.
Oh, that wasn't good.
Oh dear. We still got to get the rest of that out.
Dang it.
I mean, it should be easy enough to work out of here. Hopefully.
Fingers crossed, right?
Yeah. Why?
It's like they super glued it in.
Seriously, did they super glue this thing in here?
Oh my gosh. like it's starting to come out, and then it's like, nope, I'm not coming out.
I'm gonna try twisting more this time. Like all the other ones.
Just came out.
No problem. Now I'm like, what does that coil look like? Or that spark plug look like?
Oh my gosh. It's probably from Timo.
Like, seriously.
Oh my gosh.
Praise the Lord.
That is why you use dielectric grease.
Or
so
anti-seize.
Well, you wouldn't use anti-seize on here, but use the dielectric grease so that you can actually get these things off. Oh, Lord. Lord. That was just wrong. You're going to save me now.
Have mercy on that
I
mechanic.
don't know. The spark plug doesn't look too terrible.
No.
I don't like how that came out.
No, that took forever, and that was just not right.
It's definitely... This plug has been replaced. It's a champion. The others were champions too. But it's... doesn't have a wacky gap like the other plugs did.
Coil definitely ain't champion.
Yeah, there's no champion there. You want to put that with the
the
back
others?
cylinder? Yeah. Oh, that piston's up. There's the cylinder wall though.
It doesn't look terrible.
The hone looks great. 100,000 miles. Maybe we could stop bouncing on the car.
Okay.
While I'm trying to stick something down in the engine.
It's not me.
All right, this one's down. Let's see, we'll come up. There we go. It's not down very far. See, the cylinder walls look fantastic for 100,000 miles.
They do look good.
Very little carbon in here. Let's see if we can get this to look up.
They're
The
nice
valves.
and even.
Oh, these valves are open too. Yeah, look at these guys.
That's so cool.
Cylinder head looks pretty good. This is another reason this tool is amazing,
You would not be able to do that with your phone camera.
right?
You need a lot of mirrors.
Talk about the ability to inspect stuff.
Right?
Now let's look at the one that's been having misfire problems.
Or the one that
Well,
supposedly
that piston's all the way at the top.
had misfire problems.
Well, it's got really good carbon deposit. I mean, it's relatively clean. Cylinder wall looks fantastic. The cylinder head, or the base of the head right there, looks good. I'd say this is a fantastic tool to have. I'm really glad I bought this. I wish this was sponsored, but no, this is one of the tools I bought. So I'm a really big advocate of torquing spark plugs. I've had a lot of people complain, that's stupid, tighten them down, give it a half a turn, you're solid. In the repair instructions here it says, spark plug torque is critical and must not exceed specified value. Over-tightening stretches the spark plug shell, reducing its heat transfer capability, resulting in possible catastrophic engine failure. Torque your spark plugs. On these spark plugs, it has the torque labeled on the box. So that's the one I'm using. It's 23 Newton meters or 17 foot-pounds. These also came pre-gapped. And when we look at the gaps on these old ones, the repair manual calls for 0.43 as a gap. I'm using a cheap gap indicator here, but when you look at the wedge on this thing, get in there real tight to see if we can see it. It's super pointy. When I go across, I go right past 0.43 to 0.55, 0.56, this one, 0.56. Pretty consistent, except the one spark plug that's been replaced, about 0.41-ish. Right around where it should be. I think these are actually, these Bosch premiums are 0.41 on the gap. So your gap opens up slowly over time. Things that you're looking for on your spark plugs is that you don't have any arcing coming out of the top here. And then on your plug, you're looking for a consistent read. A light tan is good. It shows that we're getting a good combustion, good burn. It's all the way around that way, and we don't have any black sooty deposits or anything like that, or oil deposits. The big gap, that just means these plugs went a long time. I would expect this car to pick up some miles per gallon. I'm not going to quantify how much because I don't have the slightest idea, but it'll definitely pick up some. It'll also pick up a little bit more get up and go. We're using Bosch coils as well versus the, I would have to guess, Chinesium multi-piece coil that was in here.
Hashtag Temu.
But it still had the champion plug in all 6 holes. So now we'll go back in. Little dielectric grease on the top. I do put a tiny little dab of anti-seize on the threads, and then we'll torque them to 23 Newton meters. Now, to all the naysayers out there, yes, a swivel can impact torque, but with the swivel straight, it should have negligible effect.
Just remember that most of the naysayers don't torque their spark plugs anyway.
Accurate. High quality coil, some dielectric grease in there. I like to put a date that they were installed. That way, should anybody else be in here in the future, they'll have some reference. I also wrote the date and mileage on the oil cooler for the same reason. Run these down. Start these by hand.
This is why we have the door open.
Yeah, we'll just let that relax in there.
You can go take a nap. You ready? ASMR. Good. I know we should start a channel, but you know.
Following our repair instructions, the lower intake manifold has a torque sequence as well to take it to 12 Newton meters. So I've got the torque sequence here on my screen. I'll put it up on your screen. And then for reference, I just wrote it down here on my little reference sheet. Now, we don't have our PCV line in because I think we can get it in after we drop the manifold down.
It's a good thing these aren't a one-time use. Looking at you, BMW.
Yeah, all the one-time use bolts.
Yeah, you put it in. Well, we're gonna have to take that off to get the PCV line in.
So we won't bolt it in until we double check that the PCV will drop in. All those bolts dropped right into their holes. Yeah, because the PCV line, it runs back
And in.
that way.
It's just going to be tough to push it down.
We get it down, so that's not a big deal. I think we could even get this in after we put the plenum on.
I would not recommend that.
No, I think you're right. I'll leave it loose in the back there, and then I'll just have it hang up right here.
That works, because we can push it down.
Yeah, as long as that doesn't come off and smack me in the face. What was that? I thought you were gonna hock a loogie on me or something.
That's what it sounded like.
No hocking loogies.
Okay, so
Make sure.
Yeah, I like to go around.
You can always find it again later.
Well, it's in there. Stuck to the manifold. Party.
You don't lift the bolts up.
and those center bolts are really tall.
Gentle. Actually, seems like
It's down.
it just dropped right into the bracket.
Yeah, so I
need
think
to go
it's
back
down.
just a little more, but
It was on that harness. Yeah, I don't think I'd be able to get that PCV line.
No.
Not from this angle. The torque on these is 10 Newton meters. It says right on the manifold 7 to 9, and then in the repair instructions, I'm finding 10. So, 10 it is. It is just plastic going into plastic. I guess these are metal bolts going into plastic. Yep, I do not prefer working on
tall cars.
tow vehicles.
With a mile-long bumper.
Yeah.
And that's a great point to bring up. We're looking for a tall vehicle.
We are looking for a tow vehicle.
Kind of want a truck, but kind of don't want to work on a tall vehicle. So, I don't know.
I work on mom and dad's trucks enough.
Yeah.
Remember to put the plastic screws back in to the manifold, not the metal thread.
Yeah, that'd be bad.
Well, they just pull themselves out.
This way.
Where's the first one? Right there. Yep. See it with your brain, right?
That's so weird.
See it with your fingers? That's a different experience. That takes a while.
I can visualize it. Okay, that's tight. Okay. Can you take it out of the dot?
Yep, I got it.
That was weird.
Isn't that a different feeling? I can see it. I can see it.
I could though. I could know exactly what I was looking at.
I do not miss that feeling. Oh, I do love this Stinger light though. Oh, did it just get brighter? I don't know.
I think we just.
I think I'm just getting old.
Yeah.
Lock tab and Christmas trees. The more expensive ratchets have way more gears in them.
Oh, okay. That way, no matter where you are, you get.
I can see it. I can see it. Nice. Okay. Oh, now I see. There was only 3 clips before because the other one wasn't clipped. Missing bolts. The little red clippies are missing all over the place to hold the harnesses in place. Now it's on. Watch out for that alternator spinning up right there.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, sounds good, looks good, starts good.
Nothing is spraying liquids.
No liquid spraying. We're gonna let it warm up and then we're gonna change the oil.
First oil change ever. He says you know what he's doing.
Is it tight?
It's really tight. I'm gonna stop before I hurt something.
Keep on the right direction, it will come off. As long as it's not stripped. Last guy.
It's on there, so it's probably not stripped.
That's not necessarily true.
From the
That's
inside.
true.
You can put something on there once.
I need something bigger.
No, you shouldn't need anything bigger for that. That should have like 18-ish foot-pounds on it.
Hold it straight. I'm gonna stop.
Okay.
That's really on there. Or I'm just really weak. Probably the latter, but...
Well, it takes a little bit of time to get a feel for it. Here, I'll trade you.
I don't want to mop.
Watch your hand.
I want to watch. I'll hold this.
That's not going to be enough, one hand.
See, you.
Yeah, it's tight.
It's on there. And I don't want to hurt something.
That's it. Now, hold the bucket up and pull the plug.
Okay. Here's your
And I'll
mop.
take them out.
You're just ready for a bad day right now, right? It's going to be hot, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
We warm the engine up.
Yeah, it's going to be really hot.
You going to be able to hold it like that?
Yeah, don't drop it. You only have to catch it for so long.
How hot is hot?
Not
Try to
burning
mentally
you.
prepare.
It's not going to burn you through the pan.
Yeah, you're fine.
Just get less oil on your arms.
I didn't get any on my
And
arms.
in the pan and you'll be good.
I'm just goaded.
Now you just watch it. And move the pan with it as needed.
Laminar flow.
Careful for the laminar flow. If you hit those sidewalls with hot oil like this, it's going to be right up into your face, and you're going to then hit your head on the back of the tire.
Where do I put this?
You sit on the bench.
That's on there. It's going to come back off.
Next time there's an oil change, it'll come off, but this time it's torqued.
Yep.
27 newton meters.
Yay.
Okay, building up. If you turn the bottle over the other direction, it won't glow. It'll just allow air in.
Oh, interesting. Should we get a roll of that?
So why did this thing leak in the first place? Well, I'm gonna presume that the completely flat O-rings here in the bottom probably had something to do with it. So this is an oil port and this is an oil port, and these things are completely flat and actually quite hard. This O-ring here, where's my finger? This O-ring here is pretty crushed as well. I'm sure that there's probably a problem with the base being warped or something in that nature. That's what I keep finding online as far as people's theories as to what's happening with these. It makes a lot of sense. Plastic with aluminum sandwiched on both sides, eventually you're gonna have problems. I'm hoping that this Mishimoto unit is gonna outlast the ownership of this vehicle for my friend. I'm really glad that we attacked the spark plugs while we were in there. It actually has 105,000 miles. For some reason I had 100 in my head. And got rid of this multi-piece coil that was underneath the manifold and kind of difficult to change there. The PCV valve I think was just great maintenance, and I'm glad that that's in there because there was quite a bit of oil and carbon debris and stuff going on. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. If you're looking for a manual for your vehicle, DFB22 at checkout and you'll get that discount. If you're looking for any fun shirts, or any type of cool swag to represent the channel and help us out and growing and building and doing more things, take a look at the shop button down below. Again, I really appreciate it. Lots of tools and links and everything going on in the description. Thanks for watching. Drop a comment. Let me know how much you love your Jeep and why I should too. One of my buddies, Tim, he really wants me to buy a Jeep and do a bunch of off-road content. Now that I could actually get behind. The off-road siding of the Jeep, I think makes total sense, and that's probably why a lot of people have them. The street driving, not my favorite street car. No, not really. But I digress. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you in the next one.